All right, ready to jump into a deep dive on something you might think is super basic.
Always up for a challenge.
We're talking all about how to find your Instagram URL.
Okay, sounds simple enough, but I'm sure there's more to it than meets the eye.
You got it. And for this one, we're actually pulling from a podcast episode
Oh,
called How to Find Your Instagram URL Using a Computer or Mobile Device from the SocialWick Podcast.
talk about meta, a podcast about a podcast.
Right. It aired on February 6th, 2025. And get this, they actually break it down into two methods, one for desktop, one for mobile.
See? Told you there'd be more to it.
I know, right? So first up, the desktop method. Think you can guess how this one goes?
Probably something like go to the website, click on your profile.
You basically nailed it. You head to Instagram.com, log in, click your profile picture, and there it is, your full URL right there in the address bar.
It's almost too easy, but that's what makes the web version so great. Everything's laid out so clearly.
Which makes sense because you're probably going to want to copy and paste it, and that's way easier on a computer.
Exactly.
But then things get a little less obvious when you're on your phone. The SocialWick Podcast pointed out that you won't actually see your full URL displayed anywhere in the app.
Yeah, they hide it a little bit, but there's a good reason for that.
No. Why is that?
Well, think about how you use your phone. You're probably mostly tapping and sharing links directly, not really copying and pasting like you would on a computer.
True, true. So how do you find it on mobile then?
Well, the easy workaround is just knowing how Instagram URLs are structured. It's always Instagram.com, your username.
Oh, that makes sense.
So if you know your username, you pretty much know your URL even without seeing it directly in the app.
That's a handy tip.
Right.
But they did mention a copy profile URL option somewhere in the app, right?
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot about that. If you go to your profile on the app, there are those 3 little dots in the corner.
Ah, those dots. They always hide the good stuff.
Well, you tap those and you'll see the copy profile URL option right there. Makes things super quick if you don't want to type it all out.
Perfect. So we've got our two methods, desktop and mobile. Not exactly rocket science, but I think a lot of people might be wondering, why does this even matter?
That's where the real fun starts. Because knowing your Instagram URL is just the first step. It's like having a car,
Okay, I'm intrigued.
but not knowing where you want to drive it.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So where should we be driving this Instagram URL?
Everywhere. Think about it. If you're trying to grow your following, whether it's for your personal brand, your business, whatever, you want to make it as easy as possible for people to find you on Instagram.
Makes sense.
So you're going to put that URL on everything. Business cards, websites, other social media profiles.
Ooh, good point. I never thought about linking it on my other social media.
It's all about cross-promotion.
Right.
The SocialWick Podcast was really hammering that home, especially for businesses and influencers trying to reach new audiences.
Right, got to connect with those potential followers wherever they are. So they gave the basic examples, business cards, website. But I'm curious, what are some other creative places where people might not think to put their Instagram URL?
Well, let's see. You could put it in your email signature,
Oh, yeah. That's one I always forget about.
right? Or what about like if you do any online courses or workshops?
Ooh. So
Uh,
people can connect with you on a more personal level after the course is over.
Exactly. You could even use a QR code.
Ooh, QR codes. Those are making a comeback.
Right. Stick one on any printed materials you have, like brochures or flyers.
That's so smart. It's like a little bridge between the physical and digital worlds.
Exactly. And speaking of digital, the SocialWick Podcast brought up another interesting tool,
What's that?
URL shorteners.
Oh, yeah, those are great for making long links look a lot cleaner, especially on platforms like Twitter where you don't have a lot of characters to work with.
Right, but it's not just about aesthetics.
What else can you do with them?
A lot of them also let you track link clicks.
Oh, wow, so you can see how many people are actually clicking on your links.
Yep. Which can be super helpful for figuring out what's working and what's not.
So if I'm running a promotion on Instagram and I share a shortened link on my other social media, I can actually see how many people clicked on it and ended up on my Instagram post.
Exactly. It gives you real data to work with.
That's amazing. I had no idea you could track that kind of stuff.
Technology these days, right?
It's pretty incredible. And they mentioned something else too, UTM parameters.
Ah, yes, UTM parameters. Those are a little more technical, but they're super powerful.
Wait, break it down for me. What are they exactly?
Basically, they're like little tags that you add to the end of your URL,
Okay.
and they give extra information to analytics tools.
So it's like adding more detail to the link.
Yep. So you can track not just how many people clicked on the link, but where they came from.
Like if they came from Facebook or Twitter or from my email signature.
Exactly. You can even track specific campaigns or ads.
Wow, that's next level stuff.
It really is. It lets you see which of your marketing efforts are driving the most traffic to your Instagram.
So you can double down on what's working and ditch what's not.
Precisely. It's all about optimizing your strategy.
This is blowing my mind. I feel like I'm learning so much about just a simple link.
It's amazing how much goes on behind the scenes, right?
It really is. So we've covered the basics of finding your URL, why it's important, and even some more advanced tracking techniques.
Yeah, we've pretty much covered the A to Z's of Instagram URLs.
But before we move on, I have one more thought.
Yeah.
We were talking about linking to specific posts.
Right.
But what about linking to different sections within your Instagram profile?
Oh, like linking directly to your shop or your highlights.
Yeah, exactly. Is that even possible?
That's a good question. As far as I know, Instagram doesn't have that functionality yet.
Oh, man.
But if they did, it would be a game changer.
Right. Imagine being able to send people straight to your product listings if you're having a sale.
Or to a specific highlight reel about a certain topic.
It would be so much more targeted and effective.
It would take that idea of curated content to a whole new level.
Fingers crossed, Instagram rolls out something like that in the future.
It would definitely be a win for creators and businesses alike.
Well, even though we're wrapping up our deep dive on Instagram URLs, it seems like there's still so much potential for them to evolve.
Who knows what the future holds?
Exactly. But for now, let's shift gears for a second and go back to the SocialWick podcast.
Okay, sounds good.
So at the end of the SocialWick episode, they were doing a lot of, plug in their own services.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, their whole podcast is about social media growth.
Right. It just got me thinking about all the tools and services out there these days promising to help you grow your Instagram.
Oh, yeah, there's a ton.
Yeah.
And it's hard to know what's actually worth it.
Exactly. Analytics platforms, scheduling tools, even AI bots that supposedly do everything for you.
It can definitely feel overwhelming, especially if you're just starting out.
So how do you know where to even begin?
Well, like with anything else, got to do your research.
Read reviews, compare features.
And most importantly, think about your specific goals.
What are you actually hoping to achieve with your Instagram?
Because what works for one person might not work for another.
Totally. And it's important to remember that no tool can replace good old-fashioned hard work.
Right. You still got to create engaging content that people actually want to see.
That's so true. Tools can help you amplify your efforts, but they can't do the heavy lifting for you.
Content is king, as they say.
Couldn't agree more. Well, it looks like we've reached the end of our deep dive on Instagram URLs.
We covered a lot of ground.
From finding your URL to using it strategically and even tracking its performance.
Who knew there was so much to learn about a simple link?
It's amazing what you can uncover when you take a closer look.
Right. It's all about those little details.
So to all our listeners out there, we hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of Instagram URLs.
And that you feel inspired to use them to connect with your audience in new and exciting ways.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.